everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc. And today we're in my kitchen because I need some coffee dyed paper. And so I thought it would be really fun to take you along to see how I do this process in my home. So the first thing I want to show you is kind of my setup here. So I have a small baking pan, and then I've got a couple of cookie sheets with these racks inside, these cooling racks. I also have some coffee that I have already, what I did is I poured the last of the coffee from this morning's pot, and then I ran some water back through the pot to use the existing coffee grounds, but I'm gonna add to it as well with a little bit of Sanka that I just got at the Dollar Tree, because I want this to be, make sure that it's dark enough. So I'm just going to put a couple more spoonfuls of coffee in there. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of cinnamon, just a 1/4 teaspoon. And all that does is makes it smell better, because who doesn't love the smell of cinnamon? So I'm just going to mix that up in there as well. And hopefully that will mix. And if it doesn't, then I'll put it through my little blender, which I think I'm gonna do. So I will be right back just to make sure that I don't have any lumps. Okay, so I put some cinnamon in there and it got really lumpy, so I thought I would put it in my little magic bullet and blend it up for a second, and it foamed way up. So while I'm waiting for the foam to die down, I'm gonna show you what else I have here. So I'm also gonna use some beetroot powder and so just some turmeric powder, which I got at Grocery Outlet. Actually, we might have ordered this on Amazon. I can't remember, but this I know we got at Grocery Outlet. So again, I just mixed it with some water, and the last time I used beetroot powder, it stayed kind of grainy, so that's something I did put through the magic bullet. And then the same with the turmeric powder, just to make sure that it wasn't gonna get grainy at all. So we'll do a couple of different colors here. Then the paper that I use is inkjet and laser paper. It's 28 pounds or 105 GSM. It's just a little heavier weight than what we normally get with just regular standard copy paper. It's a little bit brighter. It holds up a little bit better in the liquid. Then I also have a lot of these plastic placemats that I get from thrift stores and, you know, Goodwill, Salvation Army, Value Village, places like that. I always go look in the placemat section because I can find these wonderful plastic doilies, and I use these kind of as stencils. So I have some of these regular doily shapes. Let's see, these two are shells, and you can usually find these in sets. These are a couple of just rectangular doilies. And what's nice about these is that once you use them, you can use them again and again and again. And nothing says that you can't rinse them off and use them on your table when you're done if you want, you know, something fancy. I love this one because it's a leaf, a great big leaf. And here are a couple of other leaves. I have 4 of these. And you might be thinking, those are too big for one piece of paper. Well, you're right, they are, but I'll show you how I use them. Here's another sort of a flower, and just some other interesting types of shapes. Way different patterns, and this one came in a set of 4. And then I just picked this one up. They came in sets of 2, and it's almost like retro, like from the 60s, or it could be used like in a steampunk. I'm even thinking I might be able to use this with some texture paste. Just, you know, anything. I just love the pattern. And this one came in sets of 2, so I bought the 3 sets that they had. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and, oh, I wanted to show you what else I have here. So let me put these back in the pile. We'll go from, well, actually, this is good. We'll go from big to small. I also went outside, since we have a bunch of leaves, and I picked up just a bunch of leaves from the yard. I rinsed them off. I cut off the you know, the long stems, and it doesn't matter if they're wet. So I've never done this before with coffee dyeing, so you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, what can happen? What can go wrong? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's all right. Okay, and then I just have I opened up a couple of paper shopping bags, and I'm using it to protect my counter. Okay, so the coffee is all ready now, and I'm just going to pour some coffee into this cookie sheet. And set it down over here so it doesn't accidentally get on all my papers over on this side. And then basically all I do is just make sure that the paper is covered on both sides. I know that I've seen some YouTubers where they leave it in the coffee for quite a while. I don't do that. I don't think it's necessary, but maybe, you know, if that's how you want to do it, then absolutely go for it. But I have not found that to be necessary. I end up with some very beautiful papers without having to do that. Okay, so get my first two on there on the cookie sheet, and then I'm just going to lay this placemat right up on top. Just making sure that it contacts as much of the paper as I can make it contact. And as more paper goes on top, the more contact there will be, because it'll you know, add more weight. So you just keep adding layers and adding placemats. So I put a placemat on top of each layer. Can't wait to see how that one comes out. That is such a cool pattern. That just reminds me of like the Jetsons or something. Hey, did anybody listening watching, did you guys watch the Jetsons? Remember in school when they promised us the flying cars by about now? Well, I'm still waiting for the flying cars. Who's with me? Who wants to have flying cars? And it wasn't just the Jetsons. I remember watching movies of what the future was going to be like when we were in school. And they promised flying cars, but I'm not seeing any. Okay, so now instead of putting on another placemat, I'm going to take some of my leaves here and just add them. I like the ones that have a few holes in them. And like I said, I don't know how this is going to turn out. It may be beautiful, it may look stupid, but we'll see. And I'm hoping that the weight of the paper will flatten the leaves out some. I don't know if these are going to color the paper or what's going to happen, because I've never done this before. Okay, so I'm going to put some more coffee, put another coffee dyed paper on top of each one, and then we'll see what happens. And one thing that's nice about doing this sort of thing is that the pattern will transfer to both the front and the back of the paper. And knowing that my paper is probably going to be folded in half this way, that's why I'm trying to keep it towards the corners. Not that you have to. The nice thing about paper crafting is that you don't have to be exact. You can just do whatever you want. And like I said, I don't know if these will create a pattern on the paper or not. I really don't have any idea because I've not done this. So we shall see. It'll be an experiment. Do you also remember being in school and putting a piece of paper on top of a leaf and then, you know, rubbing it with a pencil to get the shape, the pattern? I always thought that was really fun. Isn't it interesting that a lot of the things that we used to do when we were kids in school, we're doing now as adults? Just having fun with paper. you're probably wondering how I'm going to dry these. That's a fair question. Obviously, I'm not putting it in the oven because, you know, plastic. That could be a disaster. I'll show you how I dry these when I get to that point. And because there's a lot of liquid on here, it's definitely going to take some time to dry. Oh, do you hear that noise? That is my cat telling me she wants to come in. So I'm in the kitchen, and just over to the right of me is our sliding glass door leading out onto the patio, and we have a screen door with a kitty door in it. So in the summertime, she can come in and out whenever she wants to. But in the wintertime, or when it's nighttime or cold, we close the glass part and then open the screen door part all the way. So that's how she knows not to just try to go through it. And she'll be very polite at first and just knock once or twice. And then if I don't respond, or my husband doesn't respond right away, she'll just start banging on it. She's pretty funny. So she might start doing that pretty soon. In which case I will go let her in. Okay, I'm gonna put one more placemat on top and then set this batch aside and get started on the next batch. And I'm gonna use, not coffee this time, but I'm gonna use one of the other, probably the turmeric. And just pour that back in here. I will end up putting that in the refrigerator with some alcohol in it. I'm gonna rinse out this pan and be right back. Okay, now I'm gonna pour the turmeric in. We'll see how this turns out. So this is just like a little bit of turmeric, and you know what? I'm gonna put on gloves for this because turmeric definitely stains. And since I have to go somewhere tonight where I don't want to have yellow fingers, I'm gonna go ahead and put gloves on. Just mix it up a little bit more here. I don't know if these red leaves will stay red or if they'll transfer the color, but if it does, I think that would be really pretty. Okay, so I'm going to pour this back in and go back to coffee. Okay, so I have our coffee here. I don't mind putting the coffee on top of the turmeric because I think it'll look just fine even if some drips onto it. But I don't really want to put the beet powder on top because I don't want it to, I don't know what color it would turn. I don't know, some shade of orange probably, but I might not like it. And you notice if there's bubbles and stuff there, that's fine. Sometimes the bubbles end up being really cool looking on the dried paper. So you can do this with food coloring, with, save those. You know, you can usually like right after Easter, you can go get some of that egg dyeing stuff, probably at Dollar Tree, where nothing's actually $1 anymore. But that's fine, it's still pretty cheap. Okay, I'm gonna set this batch aside and then we'll start with the beet powder. And here's the beet powder. And it doesn't look as grainy, so that's good. So by the way, obviously these lines from the cookie sheet rack from the cooling rack will also show up on the bottom pieces, and that's okay too. These turn out a beautiful shade of pink. So basically I just keep going until I run out of placemats. Okay, so that's it for these. And so what I'm going to do now is clean up my mess, and then I will come back and show you how I dry these. So I shall be right back. Okay, so to dry these, all I'm going to do is I'm going to place them on top of the heat register. And just to make sure that I capture any drips, I just cover the heat register with a paper towel and put it right over the heat register. Just like that. And because it's winter, the heat comes on pretty frequently, and by tomorrow everything should be nice and dry. I do check it every once in a while and take the bottom pieces out if they're already dry and just put them on the counter to let them dry the rest of the way, or I just leave it alone until I'm ready to look at them. So they'll probably be there tomorrow, and then we'll have the big reveal of what everything looks like. So I'll see you then. Okay, so the papers have all completely dried off, and I left them sitting on the counter underneath the weight of all of those placemats with a couple of books, hopefully trying to flatten them up. And they did flatten out quite a bit, but if need be, if I want to, I can iron them later, but honestly, I probably won't. So let's go through the beet colored ones first. This is, you can clearly see the pattern of the placemat on here. Here's the edge of it, and I really love how dark the edges are around, you know, the perimeter of the paper. But if you don't like that, you know, you can always cut that part off, or this is where the beet juice really collected on the edges. It's not burned by any means, but I like it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of flip through these pretty fast. Really pretty patterns on them. I love the light pink of the beet juice. I think that turned out really pretty. Some of them obviously are darker than others. This is an interesting one. This was a different placemat pattern, or placemat than the other one, but it just has this really interesting edges where I guess there was more of the beet juice, the liquid. This one is where I had that really pretty white plastic placemat, and I love all the little swirls and the different flowers and stuff that you can see on here. This one's a little darker on the back side, but I still think it's really interesting. And that's the kind of cool thing about doing this with placemats or stencils or whatever. You really never know what you're going to get. And like Tim Holtz says, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. And I really like that. And so some of them, like this one, looks really grungy. And I just love that. I think that looks so cool. This one is beautiful. This is, again, that really pretty white placemat that was really lacy looking. Looks like a big plastic doily. So that one came out really nice. This one I might actually save and use to make copies of, to use in some of my journals when I start getting low on dyed paper. Ooh, cool. So this is another really grungy one. It just picked up parts of the doily, and you can see where it didn't quite make contact with the one below it, or with the paper. This is a really pretty soft pink. I like that. But I just think that looks awesome. So this is the turmeric, and it did come out pretty powdery. So I mean, I can feel it's a little bit gritty on the surface. So what I might do with these is rinse them off under some cool water and you know, let them dry again and see how that works. So you can see, this is the pattern of the cooling rack. Some of the leaves you can see better on some papers than others, but overall I think I was pretty successful with that. Here's another leaf that you can really see very well. Here's some where the leaves came out more clear, and again, lots of bubble action underneath, and I just love the outline of the bubbles. And then the leaf here. So I encourage you to try stuff like this because, you know, why not? Here's another leaf here. You can see there's 3 leaves here. I don't know how much this is picking up, you know, through the camera, but I think it looks really cool. So here's a leaf, and then obviously that one right there. This is from the placemat that was shaped like a leaf, so you can really see the edges of it and the little holes in the placemat. So I just think these look so cool with this looks like it was near one that had like coffee on it because it's a little browner. So now we're into the coffee dyeing, and you can clearly see the leaves on here, and it just looks so awesome. Look at all the different colors that show up. This is kind of a reddish color, lots of browns. You can see it on this side too. And interestingly, you can also see the pattern of that. Remember that retro placemat that I had, the big brown one with all the little, it looks like 1950s or 60s pattern in it. I think that looks so cool. It almost looks like leaves against a brick wall. So I don't know that I would necessarily call this eco dyeing, but if you don't want to spend the time it takes to do actual eco dyeing, this is a pretty good hack, I think. Awesome. So, oh, here's that pattern again, and you can see the bubbles from the leaves that were on the other side, and that's why some of the placemat came through on this side. So, I mean, how awesome is that? Love to have that in a journal. And you can see too that where this is not burned. This is where the coffee pooled on the edges. But look at that. You don't even need to ink the edges on this. I mean, we use the ink to get this effect, but if the coffee will do it for us, there you go. And you can really see the leaves on this one too. Oh, that one came out really good. So this is one that was the shell placemat, and look at all that cool patterning. I just love it. This one looks like it had some turmeric that seeped through on it as well. Nice colors. And oh, that's awesome. So this is that retro one, and this is the shell. So you can see that even when you stack them up on top of each other, so this is where that placemat, that shell placemat ended, and where the paper contacted the placemat below. So that's kind of an interesting look to it. And then there's some more of the turmeric seeping through. I like that. So that, I'm going to remember that for next time to kind of do that on purpose, because I wasn't doing it on purpose, but I love the way it came out. And here's one that was just that retro one with all the squares on it. You know, oh, and here's the shell. So this is the first time I'm really looking at these. So I'm discovering them right along with you guys. So here's the shell, and here's that retro one that was probably right underneath it. Looks like bubbles and just all these different patterns. This one I think came out beautiful. This was that gold placemat that had all the really intricate patterning in it, and I just think that is absolutely gorgeous. Oh wow, that's really well defined. So, moral of the story is, if you are in Goodwill, Value Village, local thrift stores, any kind of charity shops, anything like that, look in the placemat section. See, this is one placemat. This is a completely different placemat. So you get completely different designs on both sides. Anyway, look for the plastic placemats with, you know, different shapes, lots of holes. Gorgeous, huh? Oh, that was fun. Okay, now the thing is, I've got all these flattened leaves, and I played around with some of them the other day, and I came up with some ideas to use them. So these are the actual leaves. They got pressed in between these pages. And this one I use gold embossing powder, and I'm not real excited about the way that one looks. I like these better. So I'm going to show you how I made these. And I'll just do one. And let's see, why don't I do this one? These are really delicate now. So I'm going to pick it up. Okay, so I'm just going to set it here. And I have a one ply of the white part of one of my paper napkins. And I'm going to use some Distress Collage Medium. All right, so this is a softer brush. And what I'm going to do is I've got the back side of the leaf facing up, so where you can really see the veins. I'm just going to cover it. You can use Mod Podge too, but I like this better. And you want to make sure that you get, you know, really in between all the little crevices. And I try to make sure that when I use my brush here, I'm going in the direction of the leaf. I'm not going across it, I'm just going in the natural direction. Okay, now I'm going to just lay the paper napkin ply on top. And what this is going to do is give it like a backing to sort of hold it together. I'm just going to cut off the excess so I don't have so much that I'm working with here. And I'm just going to gently go over the top of the napkin. Again, you can use Mod Podge. I just happen to think that this does a better job. But, you know, use what you have. Okay, so at this point, you can either let it dry, just air dry, which is a good idea, or you can use your little heat tool. So I'm just using this just to kind of gently lift it up from the wax paper. And I'm going to use my heat tool to dry this for the sake of the video, and then I'll be right back. Okay, that's the first coat. I'm going to put a second coat on just to give it a little bit more of, you know, backing so it doesn't all crack and fall apart at the next stage. So now I'm going to put a coat of the Collage Medium on the top as well. And this is where, if you want, you can use Mod Podge Gloss if you want to make it glossy. I'm going to use some embossing powder, and I'll show you that step in a second. So if you have a whole bunch of leaves like this that you want to use this method on, you can just do the Mod Podge kind of in an assembly line fashion, or Distress Collage Medium or whatever you're using, and then let them dry in between. So you can just like be setting these all over your craft space while they dry and go on to the next sleeve. But since I'm only doing one on camera, I'm just going to do each step individually. So by putting 2 coats on both sides, then that makes the leaf a little bit more supple, and it should hold it together just fine. Nice little preservative. Has anybody ever done this before? Leave me a note in the comments. And when you do leave me a note, it's so helpful to my channel because it tells YouTube that it helps promote my channel, and so more people can see it. Okay, so for this next step, I have this Distress Embossing dabber, which you don't have to use. You can use Versamark or whatever you use to put on the embossing powder. So I'm just going to gently rub this over the whole surface of the leaf, making sure that it's all covered. And I store this with upside down so that the felt tip always has the solution on it. Okay, now I'm going to use my Distress Embossing Glaze, and on this one I used Fired Brick, which is this color, and on this one I used Vintage Photo, which is this color, and so on this one I am going to use the the Fossilized Amber. And now I'm just going to heat emboss it like I would anything. Okay, that turned out really nice. Okay, so now we can just cut away the napkin, just gently, best you can. I'm going to try to get it as close to the actual edge of the leaf as possible. You can do this project with fresh leaves. They don't have to be dried. You know, they can still be green, and that works really well. I have even decoupaged on them, and even with the fresh leaves, I've even sewn on them. Okay, so here we go. I just love the way these look. And look at how neat they look when they're all together. One thing I like about this is that you can still feel all the texture of the leaf, and so it's obvious that it's a real leaf. Either that or somebody did a really good job of making sort of a plasticky one. I think this one's my favorite. And then to put it on a page, I mean, obviously this is kind of big, but you could maybe put these on a cover to embellish a cover of a fall journal. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this project, making all these beautiful coffee dyed and beet dyed and turmeric dyed paper, and that you'll have fun with your own projects, and I hope you'll give it a try. Now, if you did like this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and feel free to share it on your Facebook page or Instagram or wherever you like to use your social media. So thanks a lot, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week, and I'll see you in my next video. Always let the serendipity find you, because when it does, you end up with stuff like this. Okay, everybody. Bye-bye.